Welcome back to the third rail. This is episode 7, White Grief, Black Rage. Who gets to feel? The theme of this is emotional labor, trauma, and racial politics of public empathy. Here's our quote of the day by James Baldwin. To be a Negro in this country is to be relatively conscious. It's to be almost enraged all the time. What a quote. As we begin, I want you to prepare yourself because you got to get into the mentality to understand who gets to grieve in public without being criminalized, who gets to express rage without being called angry, dangerous, or threatening, who gets to feel without consequence. The answer is not Black people. Today, we're talking about the racial politics of emotion, about white grief and Black rage, about who gets to feel and who has to perform feeling for others. This is the third rail. I am Dr. Mark James. Thank you for showing up.
Yeah, I am that I am. Oh, I am that I am. Everything was manifested. They wondering how I do it. You wanna know how I do it. I am that I am. It's really that easy. Know who you are when you speak it. Lost in the phone and the TVs. Everything that shine ain't gold. God sees me just for who I am.
Welcome to the third rail. Today's episode is about emotion, about feeling, about unequal distribution of empathy in our society. There is a quote that says, to be a Negro in this country and to be relatively conscious is to be enraged almost all the time, by James Baldwin. Baldwin wrote these words decades ago, and they're still true today. Black rage is rational. It's justified. It's a response to centuries of oppression, violence, and theft. But Black rage isn't always allowed, not in public, not without consequences. Today, we're going to ask the question, who gets to feel? And what does that tell us about power? Let's pause right there. I remember being a young man in my career, and I had dreads, and I was in the coaching field. And I remember people saw me as the angry Black coach. They characterized me based on my dreads. They characterized me based on my revolutionary spirit. They made judgments on my trajectory for my career based on how I looked. Wow, let's take that in. Let's look at now the emotional regulation in racialized spaces. I am Dr. James, your host. Black people are constantly managing our emotions in white spaces. We have to regulate, to modulate. We can't be too angry or we're threatening. Can't be too emotional or we're irrational. Can't be too quiet or we're angry. Can't be too loud or we're aggressive. It's a double bind. There's no right way to be. This emotional labor, it's exhausting. It's the constant monitoring of our own reactions, the calculation of how we're being perceived, the suppression of authentic feeling in the service of white comfort. And it's not just about individual interactions. It's systemic. The expectation that Black people will manage their emotions is built into our institutions, into our workspaces, into our schools, into our healthcare system. We're expected to absorb violence and respond with grace, to experience trauma and perform resilience. It's not fair and it's not sustainable. Media plays a huge role in this. White grief is humanized. Black grief is politicized. Think about how the media covers different tragedies. White victims are given full humanity. Their stories are told. Their families are interviewed. The lives are mourned. Black victims often are criminalized. Were they into drugs? Their pasts are excavated for anything that might justify their deaths. Their families are scrutinized. Their communities are pathologized. and outrage. White outrage is passionate, it's patriotic. It's real America speaking up. Black outrage is threatening, it's divisive, it's identity politics. The January 6th insurrectionists were called tourists by some. Black Lives Matter protesters were called thugs and terrorists. Same emotion, different race, completely different framing. Media just doesn't reflect reality. It shapes it. It tells us whose feelings really matters and whose don't. Let's talk a little bit about Black emotional expression. It is policed everywhere in the workplace. The angry woman stereotypes keeps us docile. The threatening Black man stereotypes keeps us quiet in schools. Black children are punished more harshly for the same behaviors. They're diagnosed with behavioral disorders. They're given medicine. They're given medicine prescribed. And in public spaces, a raised voice can become a 911 call. A confrontation can become a police interaction. An argument can become a death sentence. Remember Trayvon Martin? Skittles? Really? The policing of Black emotion is about control. It's about maintaining the racial order. It's about keeping Black people in our place. About making sure we never get too loud, too angry, too demanding. Because if we did, if we really expressed the full weight of our rage, pause. What about if we fully remembered? What about if we didn't practice amnesia? What about if we really remembered what the epigenetic trauma of our skin experienced? What about if we really felt what it felt like to be a man and have the anatomy of a man, but never be able to achieve being a man? What about if you were a woman and had the anatomy of a woman, but never were able to achieve the privacy of being a woman? That is the history of being Black in America. To understand why we're upset. To deny being upset is to ask us to be under permanent amnesia for your satisfaction. Things actually might change, and that's what power fears the most. But here's the thing. We do feel. We do grieve. We do rage. We just do it in community Black spaces. We've always done it. In the church, in the barbershop, the beauty salon, the kitchen table, the church pew, places where we don't have to perform, where we can be angry, sad, scared, vulnerable, where we can feel without judgment. Community healing is essential. It's where we process our experiences, where we validate each other's feelings, where we build the strength to go back out in the world that demands our silence. And art is a part of this too. Music, poetry, film, visual art. Black artists have always channeled our collection of emotions. They have been given a voice of what we feel, but can't always say. Our rage is valid, our grief is real, and we have the right to express both. Here are some guiding questions. As we close this episode, let's sit with these questions. Who is allowed to grieve publicly without being criminalized? What does rage teach us about what's been lost? How do you manage your emotion in white spaces? What would it look like to feel freely? Your feelings are valid. Your rage is damn sure justified. Your grief is real. Thank you for joining us for episode 7. Next week, our season finale, we'll be talking about healing as a rebellion. about rest as a resistance, and about building beyond the burnout. Episode's 8 title is Healing as a Rebellion, Building Beyond the Burnout. This is the third rail, where race, power, and truth collide. I am your host, Dr. Mark James. Thank you.
You wanna know how I do it? I am that I. From the heights to the west coast, all this fake recognition gets old. Time to get